Today I'm going to talk to you about how to set up your half-ton truck with the Fastway E2 hitch. And this is a weight distribution hitch with sway control. For my purposes, I'm hooking it up to my Toyota Tundra. We're going to talk about how we do that. I also use this in conjunction with my Firestone Ride Rite Airbags. I'm going to show you those as well. In addition, I have a TRD Pro rear sway bar on the back to help with body roll that the Tundra is noted for. We're going to go through those things, what we do with the tires, the measurements we get, and how we set all that up so that we get balanced and even. And in this case, I'm hooking it up to my Lance travel trailer, which is a 2375, which has a gross vehicle weight rating of about 7,000 pounds. First, let's get started with taking our measurements of the front tires at the wheel wells, and what we want to do is measure from the ground to the top of the wheel well right at the center of the tire. Is take a measurement right at the center of the hub up to the wheel well. As we measure right there, we are at just under 37 inches. It's actually at about 36 7/8. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the stock tire size, which is a passenger tire at P275 55R20. And if we see in the door sticker here, the manufacturer's recommended inflation is 30 psi in the front and 33 psi in the rear. Here we see on the other sticker on our drawer jamb that our gross vehicle weight rating is 7,200 pounds and that we have a front axle rating of 4,000 pounds and a rear axle of 4,150 pounds with our tires inflated to the proper pressures, the manufacturer's designated pressures at that specified tire size, which is again P275 65R20. As you see right here, I've been driving just a little bit with my tires, but you see the fronts are both at 32, the rears are both at 34. That's right where about I want to be approximately. I usually like 31 and 34, just a pound above the factory recommended before I'm towing. I've got a little bit extra in my front tires. I'll probably let that out just a little bit, just a touch of air. But when I measure it with the actual tire gauge, it's 31. So that puts me right in the ballpark of where I want to be. You don't want to overinflate your tires when towing. You'll see a lot of people talking about light truck tires when towing. You see a lot of people talking about overinflating your tires when towing. It's absolutely incorrect. It's not the way the vehicle is designed to be used. It's important to pay attention to the people whose profession it is and job it is to come up with this stuff. So those that have engineering degrees in automobile manufacturing, I trust them, and I trust them to tell me the right information. And the right information, and what I understand from what they've told me, is to be at their recommendations on tire pressure, which would be 30 psi and 33 psi. 30 psi front, 33 psi rear. As you can see here, I am at 32 and 34. When I measure it with my actual tire gauge, it's dead on at just over 30 and dead on at just over 33, between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And therefore, I'm going to leave this set here and use this as my base measurement for my vehicle. So there are lots of videos out there to tell you how to install these guys right here. Today, I'm going to show you how to actually properly use them when you're hauling. Now, these are Firestone Ride Rite Airbags that I have installed right here. I've had them on my vehicle for just about 6 months now. I've used them on several long trips. As you can see, I use them in conjunction with the TRD Pro sway bar on the rear end. This is in my Toyota Tundra Platinum 4x4. And we also are going to go ahead and use these with a Fastway E2 weight distribution hitch. When you install your Ride Rite Airbags, you can see I installed mine to a single valve that I drilled to come out right here, and that's where we're going to go ahead and fill that. I did that by putting together the two pieces of red piping together with a T, and if you look, let's see, up just above the tire there, you can see the red piping and the T. See how it comes out to the back there. And I did that so I could run out a single valve. The way the instructions are described is to run it out as 2 valves. I preferred one single valve. 2 valves would be if you're frequently doing uneven loads, which I'm not, and so I wanted mine as a single valve for simplicity's sake, and that way I make sure that my airbags are always inflated the same on both sides. For just driving around, I'll leave those at about 10 psi. for normal daily driving. I wouldn't leave it at 0 psi because they'll bang and that could damage the bags. 10 psi seems to be a very good ride quality with it. What I found to work for my travel trailer is about 30 to 35 psi to keep things level. Here are the round bars that we're taking with us with our Fastway E2 weight distribution hitch. If you see the model number there, it says 94000800. These are the weight distribution hitch for 800 pounds of tongue weight or for up to 8,000 pounds of trailer weight. Now, there are other brands of weight distribution hitches, and as you can see on my garage shelf here, I also have my Curt hitch that I'm going to not use today. The Curt hitch is for up to 14,000 pounds, and not really relevant to this application. There are other sway control devices that may be more effective, but again, my trailer weight is 5,500 pounds dry, 7,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, and I think the E2 hitch is sufficient for that. So for the Tundra here, manufacturer recommends that anytime you're more than 50% of the gross vehicle weight rating that you use a weight distribution hitch. In my case, for my Toyota Tundra Platinum with four-wheel drive, that's 7,200 total pounds, which would mean anything over 3,600 pounds, we need to use a weight distribution hitch. This would not apply to my Sea-Doos here, and my boat and trailer combined, I think, come in right around 3,500 pounds, so it doesn't apply to them as well. However, my Lance travel trailer has a gross vehicle weight rating, as we can see right there, of 3,500 pounds for the front axle, 3,500 pounds for the rear axle. Therefore, we are talking about 7,000 pounds. I definitely need a weight distribution hitch. So let's go ahead and look at how we hook this up from the beginning. I'm going to start by putting in my weight distribution hitch, getting my truck backed up and loaded up, and then going ahead and hooking everything up. And I'll explain how we do all this as we go. And I actually use the airbags to help assist with loading this up by inflating them well up above what I'm cruising area, which is about 30 psi. Now, before we show that, I want to show the final goal here, which is to have our travel trailer level, it's to have our truck level, and it's to have the weight put back on the front tires. Meaning what we want is not for all the weight to load to the back end and weigh down the back end, lift the front end, have the tires off the ground. What we want to do is recreate that measurement we took earlier in the garage, which on the passenger side was 36 7/8, and on the driver's side was 37 1/8. So what we want to do is inflate our bags to a point where we hook this up and all these things end up this direction. We're going to show you how we did that. Now, nothing complicated about putting in the hitch here. We've already attached our L brackets to the trailer, and we've already set our hitch at the appropriate height. And I'm going to talk to you about how we did that here in just a minute. Weighted up to 7,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. If we look right here by my thumb, we can see that there's 800 pounds tongue capacity. So this should be just the right amount. And we'll go ahead and set that up. What I'm going to show you is how this loads on and show you how I use the airbags to help assist with this. The sound quality wasn't great here, so I'm going to tell you about what's going on. I can't actually lift the round bar arm onto the bracket, the L bracket that it goes on the trailer side. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my air pump to inflate the airbags and lift the back end of the truck. As that happens, it lifts the arms and lifts them enough so that I can lift them into place and get them onto the L arms on the trailer. Once I've got that done, then what I'm going to do is lower the PSI in the airbags back down to that 30 to 35 that I talked about. That is the right number for my vehicle. There, so as I undo it, I should take it down to 30 psi, and I'll check it with my gauge. So as we can see here, my tire gauge is showing us 32 psi. I like to be right between about 30 and 35. The reason for that is if we look at the bars down here, this is the way this sway control works. it works via friction right here. And this bar is creating friction on this bar here. And as we have that friction there, what it will do is it'll create some sway control via friction. So right now what we're going to do is go ahead and lower the hitch the rest of the way and let the weight go onto the part of the truck. And then the way these handles work is kind of like a wheelbarrow mechanism. Back to the trailer, it's lifting it up, and therefore it's taking some pressure off the rear axle and reproducing some pressure to the front axle, which is what you want. You want that pressure on the front axle so that you maintain good contact with the ground and good steering control. So we're going to put everything away and pack it up, and then we're going to go to a flat surface and check our dimensions at our wheel wells again and see if we've recreated that pressure on the front tires by reestablishing that height at the front wheel well. So the last thing we want to do here is make sure that all our safety chains and pin locks are hooked up before we take off. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to pull over to a flat spot, and we're going to go ahead and check and see what our actual change in height at that front wheel fender is. Here we can see back on level ground, our truck sits pretty level with the weight distribution hitch. Inflated right to about 30 psi is where we ended up. Just a little bit of sag in the back end compared to where it sits stock. And then if we look, the travel trailer is sitting pretty darn level as well. As you can see, we're going uphill just slightly there, but pretty close to level. And then let's go ahead and measure our height to that wheel, to the fender there over the front tire. Well, I have to apologize. I actually recorded this with my camera in the wrong direction, so we can't see the numbers there, but it was a measurement of 37 1/8 here, and that was also the measurement that we got in the garage on flat ground at this wheel well, measured at the center of the hub from the ground up. On the passenger side, we got 36 7/8. Both of those were restored, so we know we have this set up right how we want it for safe towing and good weight distribution. There are lots of videos out there that talk about the proper way to set up your Fastway E2 weight distribution hitch with sway control, as well as other weight distribution hitches with sway control. There are videos out there that talk about using the Ride Rite Airbags. There are videos that talk about tire pressure when towing, etc. This is one that I tried to combine all those things, and I hope you found it useful and helpful. This is how I set things up in my Toyota Tundra, and it allows me to travel lots of neat places and feel very safe while I'm doing it.